Welcome, Tristan. And this seems like a long time coming, man. I really appreciate you hopping on with us.
I know. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
impressed by
So
the video, right? I
Excited.
told you that video was going to be great.
It was nice.
it's real
I
high
liked
quality stuff.
Yeah.
So before we jump into it, Tristan, I gotta introduce you obviously to everybody. Everybody knows you just up until essentially today, officially you were with Atlanta United 2, came from the Air Force Academy, and now you are moving on to the Charleston Battery, which great move. I think me and you have talked about it a little bit, but for your skill set and where you're going with your career, I think it's going to be awesome. But I do have a little bit of an insight from a very reliable source who made sure to make it known that I had to call you by your nickname on this podcast. Apparently, the name Buck is something going on between you and your brothers, and
Yeah.
he made sure it was well known that I had to bring that up during the podcast.
That was probably my dad. That's funny.
Did you want to? Can you give us background on that, or is that?
I don't know how it started. Honestly, I think it was just. I don't know. I just grew up and I started calling my brother, I have 3 younger brothers, but the brother closest to me, I just started calling him Buck, and we just call each other Buck now.
Yeah.
It's just like a joke, but it's just
Yeah.
a joke.
It's not a joke.
Gotcha.
Well, somebody made sure to make it known that we brought it up to give you a little bit of a job. So tell us. I mean, we can dive right into it. You're going to Charleston Battery. The news was just made official today, but I guess for those who may not be super familiar with the twos and familiar with you, just give us a little bit of a rundown of kind of how you came up into the Air Force Academy, soccer in general, and then where you're at now.
Yeah, so I started playing soccer around 5, just like recreational. So ASO, I don't know if it's the same in Georgia, but out here in California, I was just playing recreational, and then I guess I started playing club at around like 7 or 8, and then just liked it, so I kept playing, and fortunately, was able to keep playing, and I played at the Galaxy Academy for 4 years, so that was really good for my development, and then my last 3 years, just the drive. I live about an hour from LA, so just the drive got a little too much when I was transitioning into high school. So I played for Strikers Academy out here in California, and then I knew I wanted to play D1 anywhere, honestly. So I just emailed a bunch of schools when we had those showcases, and Air Force was just, one of the schools that had sent an email that they were interested. And I didn't really have many schools that were looking at me, because I was kind of overlooked. I was pretty small still in high school. And so Air Force was just one of those schools that I knew was a great opportunity, just not only for soccer, but just for life in general, and just having a guaranteed job after graduation and all that good stuff. So I was just persistent with the coaches, and fortunately, I was able to get in last minute, and then from there I just played my 4 years, and pro was definitely on my mind since I was little, but you don't really know if it's possible, and I think I knew after my sophomore year I had a pretty good year. I knew like it was possible if I kept working, so I kept working, and then ended up having a really good senior year. So had a great career at Air Force, and then was fortunate enough to get drafted by Atlanta in the second round. And I knew it was going to be tough, because it's not like other universities where you can kind of just either take online classes and go to preseason. stuff like that. So Atlanta was super cool with me, finishing up my school and graduating, and then ended up joining the twos like quarter into the season, I think.
Mhm.
So
How was that process in terms of getting everything kind of signed, and because you had to have the waiver to put everything back for your Air Force responsibilities? How was that process with the club?
yeah, they were super transparent, super cool with it. It was more stressful on the Air Force side of things just because of the timeline of things. It was honestly just like a lot of paperwork, and I like started in January, and it was just a big timeline of
Yeah.
things, and I ended up not even. I literally got approved like the week before graduation, so I didn't even know I was going to be like coming out. And then yeah, I just graduated, and that was a big load off my shoulders. So
Yeah.
it was nice to be able to know like I was approved. Um, and then yeah, I literally graduated on a Wednesday, and I started training on that Saturday. So like 3 days later.
So I
So
want to
So pretty
I want to kind
crazy.
of ask you about that transition because here you are, you're a West Coast kid, born and raised on the West Coast, went to college in Colorado, but now here you are in Atlanta on the East Coast in the Southeast. What's that adjustment like for you, coming fresh out of college?
Yeah, it was honestly it was pretty rough. Like it was just like it felt super rushed that I just had like graduated, and like I was moving cross country and just thrown
Mm.
straight into the team. So it was pretty rough. To be honest, like the first couple weeks and like that Atlanta heat in the summer, I had never experienced anything like that. So
different world,
those
man.
first few practices
Yeah.
were I was like, man, like I gotta get in shape. So yeah, it was definitely kind of a rough transition, but once I got settled in, it was super nice.
Yeah, and it seems like it didn't take too long to really get acclimated. You came in and it seems like right away you started scoring goals left and right. I mean, was it, just like you were talking about, was it just a matter of, that you haven't made that transition to the Southeast and finally getting your feet underneath you that made it easier for you to kind of acclimate?
Yeah, I think it's never easy being the new guy, especially like
Right.
mid-season. Like you're literally coming in and like, hey everyone, like I'm here to take your spot. Um, but like, no, the guys were super cool.
Mm.
It didn't take too long to get familiar with them and build some relationships and build chemistry on the field. So yeah, I mean, I think after the first few games and like after a couple weeks of training is when I just started feeling comfortable again, and just back to my confidence level of where I was like in college. So yeah, it was a pretty quick transition, and I think the guys on the team made it easy for me to just kind of get into the team.
Do you think it was almost better to kind of just dive headfirst into it, and instead of having to kind of think about the transition between college play and professional play in terms of I think a lot of times you can kind of get into your head, and maybe you overthink it. Did that ever come to mind, or was it just kind of like, man, I got so much going on, I'm just going to show up, do my thing, and hope for the best?
Yeah, I mean, I just had so much going on, and honestly, soccer is like just one of those things for people that just kind of clears your head. So it was just, although it's stressful, it was just nice kind of just being able to like touch the ball again with the team, because throughout the spring, I was still training with some of the guys at Air Force, but it wasn't like a where I was like part of the team. I was just kind of being like an
Right.
extra guy. So yeah, it was nice just diving in head first, and yeah, just really getting up to the level of speed of like play.
I'm sure you had a chance to go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium and watch the first team play. Can you kind of describe what that was like stepping into Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the first time?
Yeah, no, it was crazy. I remember driving by it the first time, and I was like,
Mhm.
"That's like one of the coolest stadiums I've seen." So,
Yeah.
and then I remember the first game I went to. I think I just went alone. Honestly, I just
Mm.
I got tickets from one of our team admin guys, and yeah, just the energy and like how loud it gets in there was it was super it was a super cool experience. I grew up going to Galaxy games,
Mhm.
so obviously smaller stadium and outdoors and not as loud, but yeah, the first time I went to the first team game it was super nice. I
Did
really
they
enjoyed
win?
it. I think they did.
Okay,
I think
that's
they
good.
did.
That's a good sign. I
I'd
mean,
have to look back on the date. I went to like 3 first team games. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure they won every time. So
good. Hey, well then you need to keep coming then.
Yeah.
yeah,
That might have been the only
Exactly.
win that we've had in a while. So
Yeah.
yeah.
If you all
So-
are just joining us on the podcast or online, we have Tristan Trager with us. We're Atlanta United 2 player now with the Charleston Battery. Tristan, I want to kind of ask you, Ben Pierman, of course, is one of the top coaches of the USL Championship. He did a terrific job with Philip Goodrum, another former Atlanta United 2 player, and Philip, as you probably know, won the Golden Boot in the USL Championship. How much of Ben's work with Philip and really with Memphis 901 as a whole kind of drew you to Charleston?
Yeah, I would say, Phil was like a prime example of a player that was kind of overlooked during his time. From what I've heard, just through sources, and yeah, he had an amazing year with Memphis, and Memphis, we played there away. That was actually my like second game, first like real game. Like playing more than I came on. My debut was like 2 minutes, but so yeah, watching Memphis play, just like right there, I was thrown in. So that was like my second week. Yeah, and Coach Ben Pierman, just watching his offense was just like super cool to watch, and I really thought of that. You know, seeing Phil have such a great year, that was definitely a big part of my decision, and just seeing how their offense operated all season, and yeah, just like kind of a counter-attacking and fast attacking offense was really appealing to me.
Was that kind of the pitch that Ben gave you? Just like, hey, look how Phil did in my offense, things like that. Is that kind of what he was telling you?
Yeah, he obviously has a great history of just winning in general, and then just has a great history with just like attackers and forwards, and just developing them and sending them off to great places. So, yeah, that was definitely a big part of my decision for sure.
So your time at the Air Force Academy, and then even growing up and all, and then of course, obviously, when you get to Atlanta, you came in, you made a big difference right from the get-go. You started scoring goals off the bat, which is amazing to see. Was it always kind of your idea that you were going to be some type of forward? Were you going to be up top scoring goals, or was it when you were younger? Did you play a different position at all?
Yeah, when I was younger, I kind of jumped around. I was always playing attacking positions for the most part. And then I think in college I played like the 10, but kind of like a dual forward system, but I was labeled a 10. And yeah, I wasn't really like the biggest goal scorer growing up. And I think that I kind of just got that in college. After my sophomore year, I scored 13 goals, and then my senior year, I scored 13 again. So, yeah, I guess that came in college, and yeah, I just love scoring goals and just getting in good areas. And yeah, and I know they tried me out like outside back, and I'm free to play anywhere, but I think just being in front of goal is just probably my best position.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about kind of your move as well. But to piggyback on what you did with Atlanta, have you kind of got an idea of what your role? I know it's early still, but what your role is going to be with the Battery?
I'm not too sure yet. Yeah, Coach Pierman, he's talked a little bit. I just told him my strengths and what I feel like I'm good at, and that's just running in behind and yeah, just finding space. And so I think I'm not really sure what formation or what he's thinking or how I'm going to be integrated into the team. So I guess we'll just see in preseason.
So your
Kind of
time.
I was
Go
going to
ahead.
ask, about Charleston. It's kind of funny. It seems like every year that Atlanta United play in the U.S. Open Cup, Atlanta and Charleston get tangled up somehow. So,
Somehow or
um,
another.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you've never played in the U.S. Open Cup. This will be your first time with the Charleston Battery. Have you had familiarity with it growing up, and is that something you're kind of tracking along with?
I wasn't too familiar with it growing up. But yeah, I was tracking it last year and just seeing all the USL teams kind of beating some MLS teams. So
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that was part of my move as well. As I just, after experiencing it and after watching it, yeah, like I know the USL's a championship's a great high level and can compete with MLS teams. So that's part of the reason I chose to go to Charleston. And obviously, my long-term goal is to play in the MLS. So
The Battery has a long history with the Open Cup as well. They've been very successful, not just obviously in the Open Cup, but just in general. The Battery is one of the premier USL teams. So, so to piggyback on kind of what you were just saying, just kind of take us through what was the reasoning, what was the thought process behind going, making the move. You have obviously Atlanta United 2 is moving to MLS Next Pro, which I'm sure obviously is part of it, but kind of just take us through the thought process.
Yeah, I thought obviously last year just playing on a younger team was kind of a disadvantage, but just it was still evident to see how high the level was just going through each game. So that was one of the reasons I knew I wanted to play like in a competitive league. And I know MLS Next Pro is also competitive, but just from friends I've talked to that have played in the league and just other people, like I just feel like it's more of a, I'm getting older now, so I'm 23 and will be 24 this year. So I feel like it's more a better fit for younger players, and I just felt the need that I wanted to stay in USL, and I guess to progress my development and just help me out to get to the MLS. I felt like it was the best move.
Yeah.
What's the thing you're looking to forward most in the city of Charleston?
A lot of things, honestly. Obviously, it's a beautiful city, and I grew up on the West Coast, so it'll be nice to be close to the beach.
Yeah.
And my roommate at the academy is actually stationed out there right now, so that'll be nice.
Okay.
Awesome.
To kind of reconnect with him.
Yeah.
They have a heavy military presence, which is really cool. So hopefully that'll bring some supporters out to the games. And I think just, the project they have going on there and with Coach Pierman, it just seemed like a great fit for me and how his offense operates. So, yeah.
So have besides seeing on TV, obviously we were talking about the Open Cup a minute ago, but have you checked out any of the kind of atmosphere that the Battery has? That because you're looking at, we can talk about the twos all day. Atlanta United, the first team, is a big deal, obviously at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and the twos have a great turnout. But Charleston Battery, that is their professional soccer team, so it's a little bit of a different story. Have you checked into kind of what their vibe is like?
Yeah, I mean, just playing there last year was probably one of my favorite stadiums to play in. It was definitely up there, and just because of the energy with the fan base, and the stadium's beautiful as well. That was one of my favorite places to play last year, and it'll be different than playing at Kennesaw, which was also a beautiful stadium, but obviously the fan turnout with the first team and being the priority. So it'll be a nice change for sure, being able to play in front of a bunch of fans.
So this is kind of a fun one, but any particular, because you're talking about your goal is to go to MLS at some point, which is amazing. Is there any particular player, not necessarily in MLS, but any player that you kind of model yourself after, that you looked up to, that you just one that you kind of you see that play style and you're like, I enjoy that. I kind of want to model my play after it.
Yeah, there's a couple players. I'm just I'm like a big movement guy, and just I don't know. I've always like enjoyed like making runs in behind the defense, and catching them off guard. So I mean it's kind of cliche to say, but I guess Holland, obviously, just seeing his impact in the Prem and just how he makes runs.
Yeah,
I mean, top player. And then I guess Mbappe, he's a little different. He's on the wing. And obviously he's a little flashier than my play style, but I just like the way he finds space in behind as well and just uses his pace. And then I guess another player I like watching is Musiala, just how crafty he is.
Yeah.
On Bayern. So, yeah, I'd say those three.
Those are all good shouts. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a letdown though for Mbappe. Unfortunately, in the World Cup final. I mean, I'm sure you watched that, but the Argentina. You have to be happy for Thiago winning the World Cup for Argentina, right?
Yeah, I was cheering for Argentina for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever have any kind of interaction with Almada at any point with the twos?
No. So I got pulled up. So I trained with the first team like 2 or 3 times, and that actually happened to be when he was with Argentina. So I never interacted with him, honestly.
Yeah, they've obviously, I'm sure that was probably back when Almada he first got his call up and all, but the club as a whole, and this is more for the Atlanta United fans, but they're going to bring up a lot of the twos guys to train with the first team whenever you have like international breaks and things like that. But you spent a lot of time with Jack Collison with the twos, who has obviously now moved on to some other things. But what did you take away from his coaching when you were with the twos? What was kind of something that stood out that maybe elevated your game a little bit?
Yeah, I think I love Jack. He was one of my favorite coaches for sure that I've ever been with. I think just the tenacity he brought every day. Because there's some days where you're just feeling a little off, and it was just inspiring, honestly, to see. He came into work every day and like was ready to work. And he's the coach, like we're the players. So, just the fire he brought every day to training, and no matter how bad games were going, he always wanted us to fight to the last minute, and that was something that I kind of enjoyed because playing at Air Force, we weren't like the most talented team, but we always knew we were going to outwork our opponents. So that was similar to Jack's philosophy, and that was just something I really loved about him.
And that's part of playing, I think, with a younger team as well, right? I mean,
yeah,
you were talking about it a minute ago. You're about to be 24. The twos, admittedly, it's a very young team, so that is a challenge when you're playing with that kind of a group that you're going to be involved in the mental game just as much as you are the talent, because you're looking at a bit of maturity that you kind of have to fight sometimes. And for you, was it kind of a weird situation to get put in to be like kind of one of the senior guys, quote unquote, on the roster at times?
Yeah, a little bit, but it was honestly pretty similar, like to my college experience, like just from being a senior and playing with guys that were freshmen. So it wasn't too weird, I would say. It was just, I think, just like you were saying, just kind of we were just missing a few more mature pieces in the squad to just kind of keep us in games a little more, I would probably say.
How did you keep from getting down, like maybe when the results weren't coming your way, coming the team's way, I should say?
I can only imagine that was a struggle.
Yeah,
for the whole team last season.
Honestly, I was just trying to keep a positive mindset and just knowing my situation. Like, I feel extremely blessed to be able, to be playing and for the Air Force to be giving me this opportunity. So I was trying to keep a positive mindset most days, pretty much every day. That like I was literally getting paid to play soccer, so as my job. So I guess that was getting me through it. And at the end of the day, like win or lose, it's all about having fun. And I think we were doing a good job with our group, but we were just missing that little maturity, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So for the Charleston Battery fans who might be listening, because I know there's a handful out there that definitely were super excited to hear the news today. What would you tell them, and the Atlanta United fans as well, but what would you tell them in terms of, first of all, they may not know kind of what the situation is with you in the Air Force Academy with the delay, being a part of a professional team and all. But as their newest player, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would tell them that, kind of just a hard-nosed player, and I'm going to go into work every day. Work my tail off and get results. And I'm looking forward to scoring a bunch of goals this season.
Nice.
And as an Atlanta fan, I mean, I followed you last year, followed the whole team. Obviously, we all did.
Yeah.
But it was good to see. It was definitely a breath of fresh air. To see that kind of work ethic. So I'm super happy for you. I know the twos will hate to see you go, but I think it's a great step for your career for sure. And
Yeah.
I'm super excited for you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I guess I would say to Atlanta fans too is it's all love. I built a lot of
Right.
friendships during my time
Mhm.
with the twos, coaches, players, and so I really enjoy my time there.
Sweet.
Maybe we see you back soon.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm gonna send everybody up there to go check out a Charleston Battery game.
Let's do it.
All right.
Cool.
Tristan Trager, everybody, formerly of the Atlanta United Twos, now newest player for the Charleston Battery in the USL. So Tristan, we really appreciate you coming on, man. It's been awesome getting to kind of chat with you and get to know you a little bit. And obviously we wish you all the best going to Charleston. You're more than welcome to stay home, by the way, while we chat about other stuff, but I know you're a busy guy. So either way, we definitely appreciate it, man.